Michigan, final home game of the regular season. Somewhat quick turnaround, it feels like. They've had five games in like a 13-day span here in the final 2 weeks, backloaded schedule, and they're reeling right now. In comes a team that some people believe is worthy of a nickname, the Crab Five. Some people believe this is the best starting five in the Big Ten Conference. Ken Palm would tell us that Maryland is 14th nationally, Michigan all the way down to 29th nationally right now. But somehow, some way, the Wolverines still in contention for a share of the Big Ten title. They've got to win this game if they want that last game at the Breslin Center to mean anything. I don't know what version of Michigan's going to show up here. This is a game that Michigan at their best, I would be very excited for this matchup. Michigan at their worst, I think, could get absolutely dogged on their home court the same way Illinois just did to this team. So, what do you make of the Maryland matchup for Michigan?
So it just matchup wise, I think there are some slight similarities in how these two teams operate. I think more so it's a small one. They have two bigs. Two bigs is definitely something that is prevalent in both teams. But the difference between Michigan and Maryland is that the guards and the wings are better for Maryland. And at least even if despite how you feel about them being better or worse, they're better shooters. I think they're three almost 40%. I think Rodney Rice is the lowest percentage 3-point shooter, but he's still a guy that can get very streaky and hot. And Gillespie's a really good player, shooter. Miguel can really shoot the ball. And then Derek Queen obviously is extremely talented, and Julian Reese is Julian Reese. So like the two big and how the guards and wings match up, I think is something that's going to be very interesting to watch. Obviously, the front court matchup is going to be the one that's going to be looked at the most. But there's a lot of things that I think Maryland does with that starting five they have that make it intriguing for them as a basketball team. And then on the flip side for Michigan, I'm in this weird spot with that team, G, because I'm looking for some guidance from you here. I've been like a believer in Michigan, the basketball team. Just like I like what Dusty's done. I know the guards are underwhelming, but like they've all had moments this year. Donaldson's had moments, Amari, like all those guys had moments, and Danny and Vlad have been good for most of the season. But they're in this rut right now, and I kind of see it as like, are they eventually gonna kind of maybe get back closer towards like what they were earlier and in the non-conference and earlier in Big Ten play? But it seems like, since you look at a certain date, this team's just been trending in the wrong direction. And I'm not sure what helps them kind of level out a little bit.
Yeah, lack of shooting, lack of confidence, lack of depth, I think is combining to put this Michigan team in a really weird spot. But I guess I just struggle with this. I'm not defending Michigan's play in any way because I feel like I've been pretty clear that this team's record is way better than the actual basketball team. But I struggle. Like the Illinois game was a result. It was awful. It looked like everything caught up to them and just snowballed, right?
Mhm.
Um, that also happened against Purdue 2 months ago. And outside of those two data points, like these issues that we're saying plague this team so much haven't really bit them. Like they've
Mhm.
picked up good wins amidst all these issues occurring. So I guess the question for me is like, was the Illinois thing a turning point that's going to affect how this team plays in the final two games of their season against two really, really good teams in Maryland and Michigan State? Or is it like one last wake up call, much like the first Purdue game was in Mackey, where, okay, we've got these issues. We cannot come out that flat again. Let's just grind out these wins again. Like I could see either one being true. The thing that makes me a little optimistic for this game is just that I don't think the matchup problems that Illinois presented Michigan are present there with Maryland. Maryland's a great team that's difficult for anyone to deal with. Obviously, Derek Queen's awesome, Julian Reese is awesome, Jacoby Gillespie's great, and then they got two great shooters. Like I'm not downplaying how good their five starters are, but Michigan is comfortable against teams that play too big that can't shoot, right? Like if Julian Reese can't space out Vlad Golden. Derek Queen has made what, 1 3 this year?
Right.
So like Michigan, like is Maryland tough to deal with? Yeah. But is Michigan like gonna accept that challenge and be like, oh, let's go your bigs versus our bigs? I think so at home, and I think they'll feel okay with that. As you mentioned to me, the game will come down to if Maryland's guards just completely destroy Michigan's, which is likely to happen based on how they've played in the last month, right?
Yeah, I mean, outside of that Michigan State game, yeah, they've been very good. Gillespie's been really good, dynamic. They have guys that can shoot, and you can't really do the zone against this Maryland team given how they shoot the ball. Um, I'm actually trying to get it up right now. Maryland, good rebounding team, good offense rebounding team.
No,
No, really.
they're just
Oh,
fine.
all right, that's a good thing.
They're unlikely to exploit Michigan's weakness there.
That's a good thing. I guess this is where it's at. Like they were able to me, Michigan was able to, even despite the shortcomings of the shooting, depth, everything you pointed out, they were able to beat a good amount of teams in the Big Ten. I think if they play like teams that are more so in the upper half, even though you won the Purdue game, but if you're playing like the Marylands, you know, if you played Wisconsin right now, would the current way you're playing win you basketball games? I don't think so, but I also think that Michigan's in a spot where they still have a lot to play for. They're at home. I'm assuming Chrysler's going to be rocking. Eventually, these guys got to hit some shots. I just don't think these guys are bad shooters, and right now they cannot shoot.
Yeah. So on the Chrysler note, it is spring break, and it was spring break for the Illinois game too.
Hmm.
It was a good crowd on the weekend for Michigan, Illinois, partially because it was senior night, partially just and I don't know, like they made a concerted effort to get fans in the building for that. I would assume they try that here. I don't think it's going to be rocking though without the students on a weeknight game after
Hmm.
the way Illinois just gutted Michigan. So maybe I'm wrong on that. It should be rocking. Don't get me wrong. Like I would like to say I'm confident that the Michigan fan base is going to show up here, but I'm kind of not. I think the Illinois game was so defeating to this fan base that in a spot where the students just aren't going to be there for on a weeknight, like you're going to need someone to show up. And I don't know. I guess the bright side would be I doubt there will be too many Maryland fans in the building. Respectfully, I don't think they're traveling to Ann Arbor for a weeknight game. So
Hmm.
this isn't like Purdue or even Illinois where there were a lot of fans from the opposing team in the crowd. But it might be a sleepy gym, which is kind of crazy given the circumstances of this game. But I guess that's what you get when you're in a title hunt and spring break overlaps with this. Um, Maryland has not been great on the road this year, and I want to ask you what you make of that. They are 4-5 on the road in Big Ten play. Their wins have come against a lot of the bottom feeders, Penn State, Nebraska, Indiana. They had that great win at Illinois, but we both know that was a weird version of Illinois at the time. No Tom Ivisic in that game. Their losses on the road have come to Purdue, Washington, Oregon, Northwestern, and Ohio State. All in all, they're not very good on the road, I would say. They are just 1-4 versus maybe 1-3. I think 1-3. 1-3 versus top 40 teams on the road this year. Do you think that road struggles are a real thing for this Kevin Willard team? That's a picture of Kevin Willard that you're showing me.
Don't ever ask me about if that man is struggling on the road. It's like asking me if I'd like an extra serving of eggs. Yes, of course I would. Scramble, please.
So it's
He's going,
real.
yeah. It's as real can get. It's not even like a fun little thing to poke at anymore. Willard is he's not built for the road.
What does that mean?
He's just not built for the road.
Like things just get a little tight and he just
Things
goes
get a
in the
little
shell?
like it's never easy. Anything they do on the road is never easy for this team ever. Like
Yeah.
I mean they went. Now, granted, Indiana was playing better. Like, and I can't speak because my team lost to Indiana, but like they went on the road. Indiana had them beat
Yeah.
on the road. Like and I thought Indiana threw that game away. This team is just even. I mean, the one that sticks out in my head is they are comfortably beating Ohio State on the road, comfortably,
Yeah.
and things just go south all the time for this team. It's just it's. I don't really even know what to attribute it to. That's exactly why I just pulled up the picture. It's just Kevin Willard.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't trust Willard either. I think he's done a really good job this year, but yeah, it seems like they've lost a bunch of games they shouldn't on the road. All right. Speaking of don't trust, I don't trust my superstar, Danny Wolf, right now. I also don't trust Maryland's quote unquote superstar, Derek Queen. I got to be careful because the last time I came on a Michigan preview and disrespected a star, it was Bruce Thornton, and I was right, and Bruce Thornton stunk and airball the game winner. And I will make this extremely clear. I have a lot of slanderous thoughts on Derek Queen, but I'm not stupid enough to slander him given the state of Michigan's front court because it's perfectly reasonable that Derek Queen could have 20 and 15 in this game and just punk both Vlad Golden and Danny Wolf. I am not going to be surprised at all if that happens. At the same time, I have watched Derek Queen float through games, much like Danny Wolf has lately. I have watched Derek Queen settle for jumpers, for fadeaways. I have watched him airball those jumpers and then hang his head and walk back on defense while the other team pushes in transition. He's a great player. He should be a lottery pick. He does a lot of stuff that I think can contribute to Maryland getting complacent. And Danny Wolf to me is a guy that looks like he's lost confidence. Um, I don't know what to make of Danny Wolf. He couldn't score at all in the Illinois game and just felt like he was quitting on plays. So between Derek Queen, Danny Wolf, and I guess everyone else in this front court, if you want to include Julian Reese and Vlad Golden, who do you trust most in this game?
Uh, Honestly, probably I probably trust Vlad the most. Like I just trust Vlad to catch, dunk, and be there. Um, Outside of like Vlad being sick, even though he has his shortcomings, I don't think like Vlad's disappeared from basketball games.
Yeah.
Danny's disappeared. Derek Queen has disappeared. Julian Reese has disappeared. So I probably if we're doing just the trust factor, I'm probably putting Vlad one, and then I probably still put Derek Queen two as far as trust. Because I'm
Your
not
trust hasn't wavered much with Queen, has it?
no, no, especially because I think others find it, it's great to trust them when it's going well, but they don't want to do it when it's not, when I'm in this for like the long haul.
Yeah, I just thought that Michigan State performance was so bad. It's still lingering in my head, and I
That's just
understand that
Michigan. That's
Michigan
just Michigan
State's.
State. That's all
Well,
it is.
yeah, but it's the guards for Michigan State who are like legitimately terrifying defensively. Like I watched Umar Ballo and Malik Reneau punk y'all, and 2 days later Derek Queen didn't.
Yeah, we stopped doing the solo cover thing though.
Yeah, I guess that's true, but I don't know. I go through Queen's game logs this year. 29 and 15 on the Rutgers front court. 23 and 6 against Niederhauser. That was good. He had 7 on 8 shot attempts against Indiana. Big front
Mm.
court there. Looks like he dominated Big T. That's nice to see. I don't know. I don't know.
Don't know.
I'm looking for a correlation that may not be there. But I guess what I'm saying is that I've seen Derek Queen be his worst against really good front courts and good teams. And I think I've seen him be great against average to fine front courts this year. So I don't know what to make of that. Like who do you think how are these guys going to match up? Are you putting Danny on Queen? Are you putting just given how they're both perimeter comfortable, I kind of feel like it's going to be Danny on Queen, but you could go the other way too.
I probably do that. I put on the other end. I put Queen on Danny. Just because I like Queen's hands as well. Like I think Queen has very quick hands that he lacks where like his feet are, so he could possibly, you know, make Danny uncomfortable. His Maryland team is I would say they're good to okay at forcing turnovers, so that might be one thing that's going to be a factor in this game. I want to say, I mean, I think they're like fifth in the conference at forcing turnovers, or well, let's see here, 52nd nationally. So Michigan's still 331, 31st in turnover percentage. So Maryland's ball pressure, Queen's ball pressure, and everyone in Maryland, I think is going to be a big factor in this game. Um, but I don't know. I feel like this is really going to like I think if you're a Michigan fan, you want this to come down to the front court because I think you have even though Maryland's front court is good, I have more faith in your front court stepping up and winning that battle than your guards versus Maryland's guards.
Yeah, that's fair. Or at least the wings. I don't know. I guess I'll throw a prediction. I think you're going to get a good Trey Donaldson game here.
Mm,
I don't think Jacoby Gillespie's a guy who provides that much resistance as much as he's just a good offensive player. Like I don't anticipate Gillespie like getting in Trey Donaldson's shit. I think these two can just sort of like exchange buckets and Donaldson being at home. I don't know. He's been awful for like 3 weeks. I feel like he's due for just a somewhat good breakout game. It's the other guys that actually concern me, and I've used one as like the butt of a joke every day for a month. But Selton Miguel and Rodney Rice are significantly better than Roddy Gale and Reuben Jones and anybody else that's playing for Michigan, even Amari Burnett. So I'm worried about this. I think you need Danny Wolf to be great in this game. And I think you need Danny Wolf specifically to win his matchup with Derek Queen. And I would assume there will be some NBA scouts in the building for this game. And ever since Danny Wolf realized NBA scouts were watching him, he's turned into Wolf Boy again, Wolf Toddler. So I'm pretty terrified of Danny Wolf being like, oh, this is a draft stock game, and just being horrid against Derek Queen yet again.
yeah, it could be a tough match, and knowing your luck, Gregory, you're gonna get a special Derek Queen game too. Like you might see something special.
I don't know. I've been pretty lucky this year.
Yeah, you think?
I've been pretty lucky this year. All right. These teams play 100 times on a neutral. How many times does Maryland win?
61 times.
These teams play 100 times in Ann Arbor. How many times does Maryland win?
42.
Okay. So you give it a little bump to Chrysler. Okay.
Yeah. I mean, this is like a 60-40 type matchup to me.
If this game was in Maryland, I'd take Maryland by 30, given
Yeah.
what Michigan is. But in Ann Arbor, I think they got a chance. Let's get to our predictions. Ken Palm has Michigan is a 1 point favorite at home here. Basically a pick 'em. Who you got?
Mm. I am I'm going to take Maryland in this game. I just think that if it's going to come down to, in my eyes, I think the front courts playing at their high level are going to, if they cancel each other out, let's say, I just think that I'm taking the Maryland guards and wings over the current form of Michigan's guards and wings. So I think that makes a difference. So it's gonna be a tight game, but I'm gonna go with Maryland. Uh, say like a 5 point victory.
Magic number is 1 for my Spartans, your Michigan State team here to clinch the Big Ten. Or clinch a share of it, I should say. They need 1 to guarantee that. So if Michigan loses this game, Michigan State is hanging a banner. Can I ask you this real quick?
Hmm.
I'll give you 2 options. Option 1, let the season play out. You're in a game up, everything's fine.
Hmm.
Option 2, Michigan loses to Maryland. Michigan State beats Iowa. The Big Ten is clinched outright. But then Michigan goes into East Lansing and beats Michigan State in a meaningless game. But in the final game of the season on senior day, Michigan beats Michigan State. And Michigan State then hangs the Big Ten outright championship banner. Which path do you take? I'm
Mm,
guaranteeing you an outright championship over just letting it play out. But you have to take a Michigan loss in the process.
I'll take the outright championship.
Okay. That's the right decision. But I just wanted to gauge how confident you and the rest of, like, I think a lot of Michigan State fans would say, F that, we'll just beat you.
No. How confident are you coming into this game compared to the Maryland game before? I'm sorry, compared to the Illinois game before you get to your prediction.
I was in a weird spot with the Illinois thing because I picked in the video Michigan to win by 16 in a fit of overconfident excitement after the Namari Burnett buzzer beater. And then I wrote for the Action Network, like it was my best bet I gave out for Action Network was Illinois to beat Michigan.
Yeah.
So I feel like I'm getting victory lap for one while everyone ignores that I told everyone Illinois was a great matchup. I don't think Maryland's an awful matchup for Michigan the way Illinois was. But I do think they're a better team than Michigan and arguably a better team than Illinois. So this game will come down to are all the Michigan concerns real or not? I think they are. I thought it was a gutless performance against Illinois. It was a team that has lost all soul, and I think that's still here. And it's hard to beat a Maryland team when that's the version of Michigan that shows up. So give me Maryland by like 11, like a comfortable Maryland road win, and Michigan's Cinderella season is over.
Mm.